Welcome to my home studio. You've just turned into a podcast. This podcast is from a series that we call Family Talks. It's something that we normally post exclusively on our app and on our website, but it's completely free. You just need to have a free account created and you can watch it on the website. And if you're already a member of the Family Plus, also on our app, of course. We wanted to post this podcast here because I've just come from the Denmark Open, where I was a part of the media team. I've done interviews with the players and been really close, like actually courtside for the whole tournament. So we had a lot of fun takes on the Denmark Open and on, of course, Jonathan Christie winning, Anse Jung's performance, Kim and Seo leaving early. So we thought we'd want to share this one on the YouTube platform to maybe get people interested in what we are calling Family Talks, which is just Thomas and I on a weekly basis, sitting down, talking badminton, what's going on, and what are our thoughts about it. So enjoy, tune in, and listen along to what we have to say about this Denmark Open, which was honestly a super, super exciting tournament. But with that being said, let's just go watch the podcast.
Well, welcome back to another week of Family Talks. We are back for the third version of it. A lot to talk about today. I've just returned home from the Denmark Open yesterday evening, or actually during night. I got back from the tournament, and you were also there for a few days, Thomas.
Yeah, I was a little bit in and out and had some tournaments and with my son and just help you a little bit, just a little bit. But this is your time to shine. I mean, I'm very, interested in hearing your experience on this. Of course, I've seen all the videos and we talk daily and stuff like this, but now you've experienced this 5 days, all in, morning to night. What is the overall feeling about this?
Well, the overall feeling is like I took my time also just to enjoy the tournament as well. I really did take my time, and I sure also took my time to enjoy my coffee as well. It's a very good coffee brew that I was so happy about.
You get your daily juice.
Oh no, I got 2 or 3 cups a day. It got to the point where they started giving them for free, because I bought so many, and they're just going on your back again. And the most fun part is the owners of the booth, they follow us, like they watch the content. So yeah, it was just like my little safe space. But
nice.
No, in general, it's so fun meeting a lot of the players, really speaking to a lot of coaches and old legends, people in the world of badminton. Got to speak with Jill quite a bit, the announcer. Morten Frost, Peter Gade, the French national coach. There's so many people there, and it was so fun and insightful to be there. And I guess also the main takeaway, just the guys are really good. Like the guys playing there, like damn, they play well.
Yeah, and you got to sit courtside with courtside with the camera and shooting stuff, videos and images as well. And I could imagine it was fun to, be so close to the action instead of watching in the TV or from the spectators. Now you really got to hear the sound and, all the movements on court. Wasn't that fun?
It was very fun, and especially watching Xiu Qi. At some point I was positioned right behind the place where they put the shuttles, I guess the basket of some sort. Yeah. Watching his thighs walk towards you, it looks like some, I don't know, alien trying to take over and swallow his knee. Like he's just trying to. It looks so crazy. It's so different. Like I have big legs. If you look in you, he has big legs. Victor very like vascular and veiny legs. But it just looks like there's like so much meat. Also because he has big calves, but the calves aren't like as large anyway as the thighs. So the thighs are just swallowing his knee. It looks wild.
Amazing. I just saw that you also posted a few nice pictures on, I think it was on the Facebook page, right? And there was an image of Xiu Qi in a lunge, and you could really see those thighs just like a giant, as you say. He's crazy strong, but
yeah. But I guess the main fun takeaway is just like also getting to speak with the players and getting some fun insight and into how they structure their training, equipment they use, thoughts on the matches. Because one thing we did have here at the Denmark Open was a hole that was playing very difficult. There was a lot of drift in the hole. Yeah. It was manageable from Tuesday until Friday. And luckily the courts did not end up being very slippy. They managed to get them more playable by wiping them with all sorts of chemicals and stuff the night before the tournament.
Yeah.
But Saturday and Sunday, maybe the aircon was turned on or something, or more people were passing in and out of the middle area, opening the doors, creating a drift in the hole because the wind was really, really crazy. I mean, you can even almost sitting watching in the stands, you can almost like feel like a light drift on your face.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can feel this, then the shuttle will definitely be moving.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. So there was a lot of you saw a lot of sets where the first set and the second set was fully decided by the drift. And then they basically played for the game or the match in the third set. Which I guess for a product value thing it could have been better. That part could have been better.
That was one of my things to ask and talk about here in this talk, and that, I mean, I think it really ruins the game the way that is going at the moment with so much drift. There's almost no people winning on the bad side, if you can say, where you have the drift in the back. It's so tricky to control the shuttles, and because people are so good now in the attack and the defense, of course, it's just almost impossible to score points when you are on that side. Mm-hmm. I mean, one solution could be that we need to change side at 11 in all sets. I think that could be interesting to see. Of course, we will get some more breaks, but you see that in tennis, and that's working fine that they change side. I mean, the only thing different here is that in badminton, the coach also needs to switch side with all the bags and stuff. So it might take a little bit longer, but as you say, it's very easily can be 11-4 or 18-7 or whatever it is. And I think that we need to look into that, unless that BWF is looking ahead and saying, well, we know that we want to change to 3 times, to 15. So if that's the case, we still maybe have the same issue with sets. I don't know the rule if they were to change sides at 8, maybe. That could also be an option.
Yeah, as option. I mean, if the issue is the bag moving, I just get the rope. I mean, we saw robots all over the place. Like get the box you put the bag in, make that thing on wheels with a robot, just make the thing drive.
Or at least put them on a wheel so the coach or the player just can roll them over. You don't need to take all your rackets and grip powder and bags and t-shirts, whatever it is.
Yeah, but I mean, we saw one player that actually managed to come back from the side playing with the drift was Ante Jung in the final.
Yeah.
Which is basically the only one I saw. I mean, we also saw some players manage to win sets on the hard side.
Yeah.
There was only one really comeback I feel like we saw on this side, which was Ante Jung in the final. Crazy.
Yeah.
She did so well playing there.
True.
But yeah, I think before we get too far, and let's touch about the fact that you and we made some bets on who we thought would win the categories, and it's safe to say we didn't do too well. It looked very bad for you in the start with Kim and Seo losing in the first round.
What happened there? I mean, that was crazy. I mean, my defense on that were that they must have been some sort of illness or injured, because they lost to a pretty unknown Malaysian pair. Played good, but still it wasn't their level that we used to see.
Yeah.
And I'm also excited to see if they will play tomorrow in France. They are still in the draw, but let's see. What
I saw, they stayed the whole week at the hotel, and they did go to the practice hall every day.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know, but if they are slightly injured, I don't know. It just looked to me, I was watching the match, it looked to me that they were playing very defensively. They weren't controlling the rallies. All the shots they were hitting were from below the net, and they were just trying to win only from the defense. They didn't ever really have control of the rallies. It was always just them reacting, which is very unlike them. And then also some actually unforced errors by both Kim and also Seo at the net when they're moving towards the net.
Okay.
I think they actually lost on Seo going to the net and hitting the frame and hitting into the net.
Could they lose on purpose, saying, "Okay, now we have been
oh yeah,
we have to be there because the rule says that we need to participate." Just say, "Okay, we don't want to win in Denmark. We just lose, and then we practice, get fresh, and then we win all the next 2 or 3 tournaments, and when we do it again." I don't know, because it's
It's a
tricky to
750.
stay on top in all tournaments. That's tricky.
I don't
Probably
know.
not. Probably not.
Maybe they heard you bet on them and they're like, oh, just gonna throw this one, so fuck with them.
Yeah,
No.
maybe
But
that's
to recap who we bet on, I'll quickly do mine. I'll take
Yeah.
them one at a time, and if I feel like I've got them right. I said Anders Antonsen for the men's singles, and it was looking very promising.
Yeah.
He was playing so well. Then he meets like Seshen, who goes into plays the best badminton we've seen him playing since, like the All England back in the day when he had like that crazy All England.
Yeah.
And also Anders just said in the post-match interview, I mean, he was just playing perfect. And Lakshen also said, I just played very well. The day after, Lakshen didn't quite have the same, and he lost in two pretty open, like not two best games. Then you bet on Xiuqi.
Yeah, very close. The big thigh man. He couldn't.
The fireman didn't quite. Jonathan Christie apparently just was. I was talking to him, and he said this thing with in Indonesia, Anders Anton is known as Istora boy or whatever you call it, and he is Danish Istora boy is what he said to me in the interview.
Yeah.
And I guess it's starting to make sense because I remember back from Thomas Cup where he killed the Danish hopes of getting into the finals by beating Anders in a crazy match as well.
Yeah.
In a period where Jonathan actually wasn't playing well at all. He just found like some super high level, like I guess because he was representing his country.
Yeah.
Now if we're talking the ladies singles category, you got this one right. You said Anzi Jung.
I got this one, yeah. She was just brilliant once again, outplaying everybody. I mean, that was kind of crazy level to see again from her.
Yeah, definitely. She had the thing though where like in the first few rounds of the tournament, I watched all the matches she played. She'd start out very slow. Like she'd lose the first set a few times in the first rounds, and like
That's
then
true.
she started playing and just completely obliterated her opponents in the second and third set.
I think she's testing the whole and saving energy and see if she can win on 70%. And if she can't, she turns it up a little bit and get to finish early. And I think that's she knows that she's so good. There's no reason for her to push her body more than she have to. So
the interesting part is the fact that she mentioned she's changing play style. She's in a period now where she's changing the way she's playing.
Did you say what was changing?
She didn't specify this now. She didn't want to specify it. I guess it's if she's changing something in the way she plays, she doesn't maybe want to tell her opponents exactly what she's working on. But maybe it has something to do with everything post-Olympics where she said she was being forced to play a certain way that she didn't want to play from the national coaches. Yeah. And she spoke about this in the first round of a few interviews that she is in the middle of this change, which gave me some hope that maybe she'll lose a match. So against Yamaguchi in the semifinal because of the change of play style. But Yamaguchi for this one was just she couldn't match Anzi Jung and Yamaguchi, which was my bet to win the tournament, actually played had a very slow start against Anzi Jung and just got ran over.
Yeah,
she is just, I mean, the best lady singles players in the world right now, and she's also just got the record for the only ever lady singles player to win every single Super 750 tournament.
Yeah, that is crazy.
This was the last one she needed.
Yeah,
and then I remember was BWF Diane from BWF afterwards. She asked her, "Are you aiming to break Momota's 11?" titles in a year record. Yeah. I think it'll be tough though because as far as I remember, she told us she isn't playing all the tournaments from now until the end of the year.
Okay, yeah.
So it's less tournaments. I mean, I just say just play only Super 300 tournaments and just go do it to secure the the record.
I don't think she thinks like that, but yeah, it could be fun to do.
Let's do it. All right, but you got this one. You got one right.
Yes.
And on the men's doubles, I had Rankireddy and Chetty, and I was feeling very confident.
Yeah.
And then they meet Hoki and Kobayashi in the semifinals, who just returned to their crazy 2021 playing level.
Yeah.
both in the semi-final, but also in the finals against Fikri and Alfian.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just played so well.
Yeah, it's nice to see them back. I mean, you could see that in the last couple of months. You could see that the level has been improving. But I really agree that in this tournament they really took the level up, and especially I think the left guy, is that Kobayashi? I think so.
Hoki is the right-handed player.
Usually he gets very nervous, and it's the one that you need to play with when things get tight. But he didn't make all those errors, unforced errors that he used to. So I think their level is really increasing. That will be interesting to see. I actually think I have written them down for next week in France, that they actually unseeded and they have to play Go and Issoudun in the first round. So that's a crazy draw, but let's see if they can continue.
Yeah, I mean, I actually asked them what's up with the yellow shoes, who chose the color, and the explanation was the fact that the team they play for in Japan, their colors are yellow. So it's because of that they're representing the team in Japan by the colors, and they told me if I come and join them and play for the team, I will also get yellow shoes.
Yellow shoes, and then I have a suggestion. You need to wear black socks.
Yeah, no.
Black socks. That's for you.
Black socks. That's illegal in badminton.
You love it.
All right, and then now we're getting to the ladies.
Yes.
Doubles where I had Liu and Tan.
I had Chen and Jia.
Chen Jia. We had double Korean finals. I mean, Korea played, apart from the men's doubles, Korea did very well in this tournament.
Yeah,
winning both the ladies doubles and also winning the ladies singles. We just didn't get this one right.
No, we didn't. A bit surprised that China didn't had maybe one pairing in the final, but they need to bounce back.
I mean, the matches that the Korean ladies play, like both the pairings they were playing during the whole week, was so long, like so many brutal 3-set matches.
Yeah.
It seems that was just a hard time, especially when they're playing against Japanese pairings, like getting the shuttle down, both from the Japanese side and the Korean side. Like they just couldn't, like the thing would floss and get like slow within the first 5 or 6 hits of the rally, and then they just could not get the thing down.
No.
So just long and brutal matches from start to finish.
True. Yeah. Even with the drift and all, they could still manage to keep the court, or what you can say, you can play it in.
Yeah, and I mean, even like I was watching from the side, from some of them just being down court side, they were lifting really short sometimes, like actually really, really short, but it didn't really matter. So they weren't being affected by the drift because it just never lifted all the way to the back line.
No, that defense is so good.
Yeah, and the opponents can't hit it hard enough, so it's not punishing enough if the lift isn't all the way to the back.
No.
But I mean, I actually talked with someone from BWF about like, hey, should it be considered that there's different shuttle speeds for different categories? Like get a faster shuttle for the ladies doubles, and like to maybe would be good for the entertainment product.
I think they probably can have a good answer for that, because then you would, how do you call it, make a difference between the different categories and who is better than who and who can play faster. And I mean, it's very tricky to do this without getting their asses beaten by the press and
the players. Like certain pairs would not be, it wouldn't be good for them, but other pairs it would be good for. But the question is more, would it be good for the general entertainment of watching that? I mean, now the ladies doubles final was 2 Korean pairings, and it was the first match of the day. Like the hall was pretty empty on the finals there, because also it was a 2 China mixed doubles final as well, the second match, and like the Danish fans, they don't really know these players as well.
No.
So I mean, the hall only really started filling up from the 3rd, 4th, and 5th match. So that's just what it is. But now to get to the final category, which is the mixed doubles, which is the one I got right.
Yep,
I had Feng and Huan.
Yeah, they were good. Playing good.
They were good. I mean, they beat not, let's not swear, but they really beat their Chinese counterparts quite badly in the final.
Yeah, and unless it was agreed on from start.
Stop.
You never know.
But I mean, they almost was put out the tournament from the Danish pairing.
Yeah,
who
that's
played
true.
a crazy tournament.
Yeah, they really
Borg
did.
and Christiansen.
Did you see the match point with the hitting the frame of the racket and just over the net?
Yeah,
What a way to win! I mean, that was
what a way to win. And
Danish
then
club.
Matthias
Yeah,
jamming the racket into the ground, like jumping up, like bouncing up again. But yeah, that is. I mean, they played well and it was super fun. In general, like what's to come, like we released interviews while being there. We released some stuff in collaborations with Odense, Denmark town. Like that's where all the robot reels and stuff was from.
yeah, that
You
was
and
fun.
I got to test the robotic Pepsi Max pouring thing. Like it was like the bartender,
Yeah,
robotic bartender.
yeah, yeah.
It's
That was
pretty
cool.
fun.
We
And then,
drank a lot of Pepsi Max. So
oh,
can you
so many
take one more?
takes to get all the different
One more,
angles.
one more. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Adam, our camera guy, Adam, we love you, but too much Pepsi right there. You had plenty of shots. I preferred the coffee take. I had to get several takes of me drinking the coffee. I did not mind that. I
Yeah,
mean, I was enjoying that part.
step. Next step is the robot doing the coffee. That would be good.
Yeah. Ooh, robot. Oh, I don't know if I should trust it with steaming the milk though. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they could probably do something automatic. I don't know.
But I mean, a robotic coffee machine does exist. It's just a coffee machine.
Yeah, you need to push the buttons and it
Yeah,
comes
and it comes out. Just isn't good coffee.
No,
But I mean, other fun stuff is like currently we can't release a lot of the stuff that has been recorded at the Denmark Open,
yeah,
but in 11 days we can.
we will.
We will. So because we're currently in like a media blackout, which is, I mean, makes sense. The local Danish broadcaster have paid a bunch of money to have the rights to the tournament and to show the
Yeah,
tournament. So of course, we were luckily allowed to record there and create stuff, but we just have to wait a short period before we can start to release it. But look forward to it. It's going to be great. I mean, some of the shots we have from the side of the court is actually crazy.
yeah,
Adam also spent a lot of time there on Saturday and Sunday with his super crisp camera, and he recorded some crazy slow motion shots as well. So a lot of cool short format teaching videos will be coming out where we'll be breaking down the technique of certain players on the tour.
yeah. That will be awesome. I can't wait to see all. I mean, I could imagine all your hard drives and computers is filling up with recordings, right?
It is. I mean, that's also why internal talk we had just bought another like an SD card to maybe start to offload some stuff because
Yeah,
it's a lot of content, but we like it.
yeah.
Now
Yeah.
let's
Yes.
get a prediction in for France.
Yeah, yeah. Let's look forward. I mean, it starts tomorrow, Tuesday, and yeah, let's take it one by one again. Should we start with the men's singles?
We can do the men's singles. Who are you
Yep.
taking?
Should I start?
You can start.
My bet would be on Anders Antonsen.
All right. He's been playing well in France.
He has been playing well, and I think he's hungry from the disappointment last week, and he's been, having a good rest, not as tired as many of the other top players. Victor probably not playing. I don't know about the injuries. Yuki, Christie, maybe a little bit tired. Let's. I think it's Anna's turn now here.
I mean, Christie won the last two tournaments he played, so I mean, maybe just do 3 in a row.
Yeah.
But
What's your choice?
I chose Lanier.
Ooh, a good court favorite.
So I was actually for the Denmark Open. My gut feeling was Lanier,
Yeah.
but I ended up choosing Anders because I felt like maybe he could pull something off here in Denmark. Now I'm going Lanier.
Yeah.
Even though it isn't in Paris, it's in the south of France, this tournament, and he's a Paris boy, so maybe it's more the Popov's home tournament, this one. But I don't know, he's playing very well. I got to chat with him several days and several times during the days, and he's had a lot of fun talks about his new hairstyle, his new racket.
I heard about the hairstyle. The Danish commentary, they spoke about that. He wanted to change the hair, and he had to ask for permission for his coach, asking, "Do you think it's a good idea for me to do this with the hair?" And they have to kind of like talk about what to do. I mean, it sounds crazy.
Oh, From the rock? Well, that's the one part that's what he told me. So maybe they stole it from our interview.
Maybe it's the same story running around.
It's the same story. But I mean, his coach is a very stylish guy. So I guess he had to ask with his coach, and they checked us okay, and also got to hear a bit about his enjoyment of playing chess. Ooh. Apparently, like 2,200 mastery points on chess.com, so he's quite good. But Lanier is my guy. I have Lanier.
All right, let's see. Yeah, that's also a fair choice here. All right, then the women's singles, I have just been, very safe, and I have to take An Se Young once again. I think she's on a roll, and I just think she will continue that level, and it's more or less the same conditions I would imagine here in Europe, and of course southern France is a little hotter than Denmark, but still more or less the same, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also taking An Se Young. This one goes out to my boy Richard Choi and Sonny, two Korean people that was part of the media team this year. Yep. Watch their stuff if you haven't. Also doing An Se Young. The only thing I have with saying An Se Young is she did look very tired by the end of the second set, the final. Like very tired, trying to at some point also with the judge going like, I'm bleeding, and the judge going, nope, you're not, you can't get the break.
Okay.
But I think she can rest up and can get ready, and she seems to be somehow unbothered by just continuously winning.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so we can cheer on her together. That's nice.
Yeah, what are we doing? Men's doubles now?
Men's doubles, I have taken Fikri and Alfian.
I have also taken Fikri and Alfian. So we are in agreement here. Okay, so I mean, either we'll have a really good talk next week, or we'll have a really bad talk.
That is true. They're just looking extremely strong and just enjoying the new partnership. And I really think if they just nudge it a little bit, I think they can go all the way. They are looking good.
I mean, I'm also doing them also because I feel like they were the best. Like on average, I actually feel like they were the pairing that played the best in this tournament. They played a bit less good in the final than they had done the rest of the tournament. Yeah. And they also said so in the interview room. Now, of course, congratulating Hoki and Kobayashi on just being better. Yeah. But they didn't have their very best stuff in the final. But there was almost enough. I mean, they've for the first 5 tournaments together, they've been in 3 finals.
Yeah.
And won one of them, and had like this one was a very close loss. So I'm also definitely saying Fikri and Alfian. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And then I guess we can go for the ladies doubles.
Ladies doubles. I have chosen Kim and Kong, Korea.
Kim and Kong. And I've chosen Lee and Beck, Korea.
Korea.
Yeah. I'm just doing it for my Korean family here.
Exactly.
That's my Korean people. Yeah. I'll change my name to Kim. I'll match both in Denmark and in Korea.
William Kim. Yeah,
William Kim. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a cool one. And then for the final one, we are at the
mixed doubles.
At the mixed doubles,
I have once again put my money on Chen and To. They were, so close on beating Huang and Feng, and I think that they can continue once again. They are really hungry, I can see.
I do like that one. I like the bet. I also feel like they're the ones I was looking at taking as well, but I feel like I want to throw one out there and go Kikel and Delreux. Going with some more French. I don't know. They were not playing the best here at the Denmark Open.
No.
They've had time to rest. They left the tournament early just to go to France and prepare. So they should be accustomed to the settings. They've been there for a while now. They have had the time to practice and get ready. And when they do play well, they do play very high level. But this is definitely a more of a risky one. It's not a safe bet.
Yeah, but on home court they played really good in Paris at the Olympics on home court, and they get motivation for all the spectators cheering for them. So I think that's a good choice. As long as we don't take China again, that's the boring choice, because they are still really playing well, both of those couples at the moment. But
Yeah.
That will be interesting to see.
Let's see what happens now. Let's see if we can get more than one each. I mean, honorable mentions, Rankireddy and Shetty, I could also have taken in the men's doubles. And I guess also Kim and Seo would also have been, I mean, they lost this tournament, but I mean, they always take them. Or even Hoki and Kobayashi. Actually, there's like so many good pairings you can take and say like they could do it.
Extremely strong when you look at the drawing. I mean, first round is extremely strong in many of the categories.
Yeah. So, but I guess that's rounding off the talks we've had for this version of Family Talks here. Exciting stuff, I guess. If you haven't, we've just released. If you haven't seen it and like you have access to it through our paid membership, we've just released the half-court attack versus defense program.
Yes, it's online.
Ooh, it's very tough to record. It was a tough day.
Yeah,
a lot of smashes, a lot of jumping.
Yeah, and we had the cameraman walking around. There was some really cool footage, and so go check that out. That's some very good angles on all those attacking shots you were doing. And I was practicing my defense and all those exercises, and I actually hurt my thumb a little bit. I'm still struggling a little bit with it.
Oh wow!
Just I don't know, 500 smashes I need to defend in various places.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting younger, so my body reacts on stuff like that.
Yeah, it just says, ouch, it hurt.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, that's a cool program. And now we have a little bit more time to, do more of the stuff for the social media and getting ready to record again on Friday. Some new YouTube videos and more for the Family Plus, all the Family Plus members. So
yeah, I mean, full speed ahead. And then really look forward to the content coming from Denmark Open. It's going to be crazy. It'll be really awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here looking to spend a few hours today looking through all the footage and, grouping them in folders and like which shots are good for whatever teaching purposes. There's some really cool shots. So look forward to it. And if nothing else, I mean, I do believe we went to the Denmark Open here a bit just because it's close to where we are and wanted to be a part of the Denmark Open.
Yeah.
But having been in a tournament like this, it's pretty clear it's something we want to do more of. And it seems we may just be going to the All England and definitely going to the Thomas and Uber Cup also here in Denmark. So look forward to more content.
We need to find some sort of angle in kind of producing content for Badminton Family Plus. Of course, it's fun for all the free stuff on social media, but we need to brainstorm on some ideas on how can we activate different stuff only for our amazing members here watching this. We need to
definitely. I mean, there was stuff we wanted to get at this tournament, but it was very much dependent on when the players won/lost their matches and when they were leading with the flights. And we had a few things set up, like almost set up, but just didn't end up working out with matching the flights and how far they got in the tournament. So we didn't have the time to record some of those like exclusive masterclass content and other things for the subscription service here. No. Luckily, we will have many more chances to do so later on, and we definitely will.
Exactly. We need to brainstorm on fun ideas how we can do it maybe more easily for the players joining stuff like that, but. That's a talk for another day, as you say.
Another day.
Yes.
I think we should be signing off here. We also both have work to get back to doing.
Let's do that, and let's keep on working and follow all our stuff, guys, out there. And thanks for tuning in. I think we are over and out, right, William?
We are over and out. See you guys next week.
See you.